brilliant moves by Gukesh.
Top line.
Ooh,
Look at him go.
Is finding
with
moves.
5 seconds, he's playing every best move.
This is your world champion.
Wow.
No one saw this coming. 19-year-old Gukesh D for David toppling Goliath. 3 of them, the chess Goliaths, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana. The 1, 2 and 3 of world chess. This is unreal on day 1 of the Clutch Chess Champions Showdown. It's Gukesh at the top of the table. It's Gukesh playing the most exciting attacking chess we've seen this year. He's got the black pieces in this first game. I'm about to bring you 3 games in this video and they just get steadily better, culminating in the most unreal checkmating attack. First off, we've got Hikaru playing white and we get Gukesh playing one of the most overpowered structures in all of chess. It's the pawn cube, aka the pube. But all good things must come to an end, and we now see the pube shaved. Grandmaster Christian Carrilla, not a fan.
Every man knows the fear of that close shave just down below the waistline, but with the Lawnmower 5.0 I've managed to checkmate that fear. I've had the privilege to try the new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and trust me, it's an absolute banger. It's a game changer.
We see this one recaptured here. Rook e8 on the board, going for the BBC. That's big black centre. And Hikaru goes a bit wrong somewhere. You know, Queen c2, castle's queen side is one fascinating line. But he does this. We now get pawn e5, setting up the big centre. So takes here, knight recaptures. And really, you want to be putting pressure on the knight with bishop c4. But this played. Looks really natural, but the trouble is pawn e4. Knight gets kicked, queen to g5, you got some problems on the king side. It's all drawn already because I just did this recording, but painfully did something wrong, so we're going again. It's all good fun, the life of a chess content creator. This bishop now streams out and you're best to chase it away. But this was played, followed by this. A sneaky lateral attack from Hikaru, but Gukesh sees it. He's the world chess champion for a reason. We see this knight dropping back. Could have centralized, but then you run into c5. So this was selected. Now knight takes, rook recaptures here. And the trouble for Hikaru is that Gukesh is on the open files. Hikaru hasn't yet castled, and Gukesh is setting traps. You know, if takes here, then you run into the tactical rebuttal. Rook takes on b2. And the point is that after queen takes, it's not about taking here, but queen d3, threatening mate. And that's horrible to deal with. If you move the knight somewhere like this, you get mated down here. You have to start giving material, but this is very bad. So let's run back. We see h3 played. Gukesh drops back, but fear not. He's not setting up for the next game. He's bouncing round. Even though Hikaru gets castled, this is no longer a bishop. It's Pope D the Third. What a monster in the heart of Hikaru's position. Rook e6 lifts and defends. Now we see knight f1, dreaming of this kind of thing, but it's slow. Meanwhile, Gukesh goes to work on the queen side, and this is the big problem. Leave the structure as it is, well, still takes and pressure on the pawn. Takes, as we see in the game, well, still big problems. The pawns are split, the bishop's a monster, cutting the board in half. Hikaru tries for some tricks. If rook takes, you run into this. And after something like this, drop a rook. Some counterplay for black, but not enough. So we didn't see takes. Gukesh spots it. He plays the explosive c4. Hikaru looks for the weakness of the last move, but this rook gets out of dodge. Knight f4. Queen goes. No Botez gambit today. And just like this, Gukesh is outplaying the world number 2. Hikaru going for some counterplay, takes the bishop, c-pawn takes, rook invading, counterplay, whoops, bad arrow, this is what I meant, but Gukesh spots it again. heads it off. Really astute. Knight e2 from Hikaru. Now we see the king do some safety work. Knight d4, queen c5. It's patient, and those pawns not long for this world, or at least not the a pawn. This is how the game proceeds here. Gukesh down on time, but holding his own. Hikaru goes for play against the black king, kicking on with pawn h4, but it's not enough. Here comes the march of the c pawn. Absolutely deadly. Hikaru's thrashing over there, but really getting nowhere, and the tables are even turned, because after Hikaru blunders this pawn, white's got nothing, rook g5's on the way, and how do you fight? You know, say you do this, going for an attack and defense of c1, well then you get the switcheroo, and then something like this, you have to give an exchange. This is of course dead lost. So there's his first opponent downed. We're going to go to some Fabi games now. 2 of them, just astonishing attacking chess. I'm not covering Magnus today. That was yesterday. I'll link that video at the end in case you missed that one. Truly remarkable battle also. This is the Botvinnik variation that Fabi is playing here. And although you create weaknesses on the dark squares, you get a good light squared gripping compensation. We see some space gained, and it's got some aggressive attacking ideas. We'll soon see. Don't go queen d2, run into knight b3. Not pleasant. Play the sensible attacking moves like this. Lovely bathtub from Gukesh, by the way. But f4, here we go. You can roar if you wish. But Gukesh fights back with just a stunning move and a stunning idea behind it all. He plays bishop g4. I mean, look at that. Now, if you take it, this is the point. King goes and you win back your piece, and you've won a pawn, and you now win an exchange. So no good to take it. Fine, fair enough. But what about this? Taking the piece... And now after takes, well, your knight won't be hitting a hanging bishop. So pawn takes played, hitting this knight. So knight b1 heads home. Now what's your point? Surely you back up, but no. Gukesh takes a pawn, saying, please munch my bishop. I'm going to check. I've only got 1 pawn for it, but look at my wild pony. In the heart of your position, the pawn could be running, or sometimes even capturing. Apologies, I'm going to sneeze. Back in the room. I'm allergic to my own BS at times. Sorry about that. And you've really got huge play for the piece. But no two ways about it. It's scary giving a piece. So in the game, we saw Fabi take. And now, again, the bishop could move, should move when you run it with an all-powerful engine. But rook e8 is played by Gukesh. I mean, what incredible chess. Fabi's like, fine. You don't need to ask me 3 times. I'm going to eat that bishop. It is the best move. We do see check, but we don't see this. We see queen f6. Looking to checkmate Fabi. So aggressive. This is the 5-time US champion. Just matched Fischer's record of 4 in a row. Fabi now goes queen d3, and it's a mistake. An immediate knight d2 better apparently. But this looks amazing. Blockade the pawn, and while the pawn's blockaded, the bishop can't enter the game. But now queen g6, bishop h3 is the best defensive move, but Gukesh goes for an almighty hammer blow now. It's rook takes on e4, and it looks impossible, but it works. Because if you now take the bishop, played in the game, trying to overload the queen, which happens, played in the game, and emerge 2 pieces ahead, a knight and a rook, played in the game, well, black creates this incredible counterplay with check, king forced to a dark square, and pawn d3 check. And just like that, you're winning back 1 piece, and then there's more to come. Or are you? What if knight d4? Best move? Not played. We're in analysis mode. Well, then you can check here. And this is why Fabi was hesitant to leave the square. You know, playing more ambitiously. Now, black's got a perpetual check here, and probably it's how the game should end, peacefully. But it didn't. Fabi played the more ambitious pawn c5, but Gukesh now takes here. Obviously, he's about to munch a rook, so queen takes, prepared to block the checks as well, but we don't see check. This would be bad, because once you keep the queens on the board, which you have to do, the white queen takes here, and you're hitting a loose rook. And then there's problems. This is not the way to go. So we run back. We see this move played. Excellent. Forcing through the opening of the sniper's eyes. Now queen g2. Check is played. Rook f2. Only move if you're not going to give your queen. And we don't see an immediate cashing in, but queen e6. Queen f5 apparently a bit more powerful, but this is the game. Now the rook is snapped off. Queen takes back, and we're not going to worry about the most precise moves. We're sticking with the game. Gukesh, an entire knight down, but he does have 3 pawns for it. This is fascinatingly tense. He's bringing in the queen, now the rook as well, but Fabi finds a nice fight back. Checks, gets the queens off the board, forced. Now this pawn's running, but takes. b2, rook b4. What's your point here, Gukesh? You must be losing. It's rook to David 4, as Yasser says in the studio. And David is appropriate, because he's David, taking down Goliath here. Now the best move is actually this, to cover the square. The line goes like so. The computer gives it a draw, but it's far from obvious that this is a draw. It's actually white that has to be very careful, because you create the outside passer that distracts the king. This is the only drawing move apparently. And then when this king's distracted, you bring in the black king. Now if you're really careful, you can hold this draw. If you're not careful with white, the king will eat the pawn, the second one will run, and you're just lost. So you just have to be so careful. But knight c3 missed. This was the game. Now the knight drops. Fabi's only a pawn down, hoping for the draw, but no draw here. For whatever reason, this king and pawn endgame, one to the good, is lost. Some are not, but this one is. Now it does make sense why, as we're going to see in a moment, because the king and rook get so active here, and there's just nothing Fabi can do to fight against it. Here comes the march, giving pawns. Fabi goes for this one, looking for this counterplay, but in steps the king. And you know you're in trouble when you land in this kind of position. Mate in 1 threatened, the rook unable to check the black king in any way. So this was how the game went. Check, staves off the mate, but simply captures, takes, king stepping in, and you're miles behind in this race. This is one sample, away she goes, and that's all she wrote. What a phenomenal game. 2 pieces down at one point. Let's run here.
And he's found Bishop F6.
Wow, a
this
monster
is
move.
Boss, the king is about to be ripped apart.
Double exclam, and mate in 5 is on the board.
And guess who's going to be leading after day 1? I'll give you one guess.
Are you kidding me?
Third and final game, Gukesh with white, and we get some King's Indian mayhem. It's stunning. Fabi rejuvenating this opening. If you want to learn something like the King's Indian, by the way, I cannot recommend enough. Lotus Chess in the description. What's so good about it is you can take on a new opening and learn all the key variations within like half an hour, and you get something very playable. It's gamified. The AI teacher shows you good moves for your level of chess, and you can pick up and run with something new in no time at all. It reimagines your entire repertoire if you want it to. Connects with Lead Chess, chess.com. You can also bring in your existing games, existing openings, look for new ideas. They just passed 100,000 downloads. So good. Check out the link below. Free to get started. C4 now from Gukesh. Pawn c6, and we're going to rattle off these opening moves here. Get to the best part, the most juicy action. What I love about this game here is that Fabi shows there are different ways to play in these tried and tested openings. You know, you can play on the queen side like he's doing here, Hold off on the f5 stuff. The bishop bounces round. Gukesh now takes here, supports his knight on b5, but a great move by Fabi. Knight e8. And he's bringing it round to pressure the knight on b5, as well as unleashing the f-pawn. But Gukesh finds a great fight back. Bishop d2. Now if you go here, you can pin and win, basically. You'd have to do something like this. Looks like you're collecting a bishop, but no. Rook defends in time. Good for white. So, no knight c7. Fabi plays the queen out. Rook fc1. Now knight c7. And things are a bit different, of course, because the queen stands here defending the pawn. It's not here, but there is a critical problem. Bishop f1 holds things, and now how to proceed. There isn't actually a knockout. This is the top move of the engine, kicking on with that pawn h5. And when you look at the black pieces and cut the board in half, if you can crash through on the queen side, fine, makes sense. If you can't, you could be in trouble on the king side. h4 from Gukesh, lovely slippery wet bathtub. f5 in response here, and now surely you never play this. Takes. Smashing up your own structure, opening the ruthlessly dangerous dark squared bishop, and connecting the pawns. What's going on with this? Well, Gukesh wants to attack the king himself. Think f4, queen h5. So he first plays bishop g5 to get the bishop in front of the pawns once he goes f4. Rook e8. These aren't the best moves, but we'll run with what was played. And now with f4 on the way, Fabi gets spooked and he plays the move himself. Apparently a sort of rook f7 defensive maneuver was stronger. Take care, bring the bishop round. He does this. And although he stops white from ever going f4, opens the rook, opens the bishop, looks amazing, this queen finds a new home, and it's actually white who begins the process of swinging these rooks into the attack. Deadly, reminiscent of this Magnus Carlsen Gata Kamsti game, first he ever played at St. Louis. They covered it on the Chess Base India interview with Magnus just a day or two ago. Look at them swinging. Even though the king's exposed, they are now deadly, and this is a mistake of a move. Trying to get some peace back into the defence was better. Rook e3 if you can possibly make it work. This is a problem because it encourages bishop d3, and now the nail in the coffin. Rook takes on d5. This is Fabi that Gukesh is just dismantling here. It looks great. Take a pawn. Prepare to bring the bishop to the long diagonal, but king h1 simply, bishop b7, the rooks double, knight takes on b5, and Gukesh just ignores the fact that he has a hanging horsey. He plays bishop f6. Absolutely stunning brilliancy. These pieces embarrassed because you're getting checkmated. Now the bishop was captured. There was nothing better. It was attacked 3 times. The follow-up point is queen takes on f4. And you're threatening mate in 1. And you just have nothing. You cannot fight against it. The king's cut here. The king's cut here and here. You know, what do you do? How do you actually cover that square? Well, with the bishop, of course. But it gets taken wherever it goes. Fabi desperately whips out this low on time, but takes, not takes, sorry. If takes, then the mate is actually this. King goes and this. The bishop blocks here. Not that you wouldn't mate next move anyway. And if you block, then this. And if you don't do any of that stuff, if you play what Fabi did, well, there's another brilliancy finish. Rook g8 check. Fabi resigns. Because takes and mate. Cannot believe the chess that Gukesh brought here. These 2 games themselves were the most impressive of the day in my view. I mean, truly insane attacking chess. Hope you loved this one. Do check out Lotus Chess if you want to take up any of these incredible openings, and have a look at the video on screen for Magnus Gukesh yesterday. Absolutely incredible. Thanks a lot and see you soon. Cheers.